This is Hot Messes, Big Visions. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Hot Messes Big Visions. So Charlotte is from And Breathe First Aid. Hey! So she teaches parents how to save their child's life effectively. And then you go home to your own children.
Yes, I do.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. Charlotte, when did this move from a moment where it was just an idea in your head to parents actually need this?
I've always known that parents need it, but the thought of me doing it really came about. My eldest was 6 months old and we were doing Playcentre. And they've got that Space for Babies group. And it was the school holidays. We were at one of the mums' homes and everyone was starting solids because all the babies were around like 5, 6 months. And all the mums are like, I am so stressed about choking. I'm so terrified about it. And I was like, oh, have you learned how to do choking first aid? And a lot of the mums were like, yes, I have, but I can't really remember what to do. So using my poor child as a little bit of medicine. I was like, okay, well, this is how you know if your child is choking and this is what you do. A 2-minute explanation. And, then we went on with the rest of the day. The next week, so many of those mums came to me and said, that explanation was so good. It was so helpful. It made me feel so much more confident. And one mum had said, I had done a first aid course, but literally that 2 minutes with you was just so much more helpful. I was really able to remember what to do. And then I thought, maybe I could do this. And I love teaching. So obviously I teach first aid to families, but in my core and my background is a paediatric ICU nurse. So been there for 10 years, and in that role,
You're amazing. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know.
It's incredible.
It's a very interesting role. It's quite different being there versus I think what you see on TV. But yeah, in that role, I teach students and junior nurses basically how to run resusces or how to look after a critically unwell patient. And I had heard from lots of people there, oh, I love, your teaching style is so nice, it's so supportive, it really encourages my learning. And then I was also doing, well, not anymore, but I had been doing clinical tutoring at the University of Auckland. So I knew that I really liked teaching, but I didn't know where to go with it. And then, when one of the mums, or several of those mums at Playcentre said that, I was like, maybe I could do this. And there is very limited courses available in Auckland, actually in New Zealand, that are for parents. So many for ECA, so much for workplaces. And in Australia, UK, there's so many to choose from that are really specific for parents, but nothing in Auckland, nothing in New Zealand, or very limited. And it's so different.
It's so different.
When you're a parent learning about your child than a workplace one. Because workplace ones, have you noticed they're always like, yes, send for help. Hey, you in the white shirt. Call for an ambulance and tell me when you've done it. But at home, we know statistically it's very likely to be the main caregiver or just the family around when something happens. There's no you in the white shirt.
Extra person.
It's just me.
True.
And
what
I know.
I do.
It's defibrillator out the back.
We're fine. We've got this. I know exactly what to do.
So
clear.
So it's so different because you're nearly always going to be alone and it's going to be your own child. That makes it so different.
So much worse.
Yeah.
Because do you find that parents with your own, Nikki and I were actually saying in the car on the way here, pre-kids, we've done first aid courses, but becoming a parent and going through that phase of, now we're starting solids. What are we going to do? Are we going to do soft foods? Are we going to do baby-led weaning, And then it's like, hang on, what do I do if my baby chokes? Or what if I do my baby... and they say to just take it slow, but have you ever seen parents freeze or heard of parents just not knowing what to do at all, just stopping? And
I think it's pretty common. So when it comes to emergencies, it's kind of you're either fight or flight mode, or you know what to do and you do it. We had this, I was looking through some of the things we'd asked people on Instagram, and I had put a question out there to be health professionals who deal with emergencies, what makes you feel calm or what makes you feel confident that you're doing the right thing? And everyone said, knowing what to do first. So if you don't actually know what to do and you don't know what to expect, how can you act? It's very hard to act. So if you don't know, and you just will naturally go into fight or flight. And I see that. I'm not with parents when they're having emergencies at home, but I've been in the ICU for 10 years. I
Yeah.
see what, the junior nurses, when they come across their very first resus, and even me, when I had my first resus with a little baby, like, I remember thinking, I don't even know what's going on here. I remember just like, this is so
I'm
much.
doing this right.
I was like, what is happening? And I thankfully had senior nurses and doctors right there.
Right.
But it's learning when there is a emergency, it's about knowing that you're in an emergency, and then knowing what to do, and knowing what to do when things go right, and then when things go wrong. And if you haven't learnt it, how would you know?
Yeah.
And then you just automatically go into the fight or flight because you're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely should be a part of like that antenatal,
Oh my gosh,
before
big time.
you, before you become a parent. It's like, cool, do you know what to do at 6 months when they start feeding?
Yeah, but with baby brain.
Oh, yeah,
Chances
fair
are
enough.
you won't
Yeah,
remember
no,
it.
no, you
Oh,
won't.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you could have
hard.
told me
Anything.
before having a baby. No.
Maybe not antenatal.
Yeah, but I do think like actually one
Maybe
of the
a space
biggest
group. Yeah.
Yeah, space would be great for that because I think one of the very first. I remember that was one of my big worries was
Right.
when it came to feeding to my children, having their food, like eating solids.
meal.
I was terrified, so much so that I probably terrified the kids because every single time they
imagine.
picked up something, it's like careful, 'cause
Make sure you chew. Make it.
yeah, and it's like chew it, and like my son is just, I mean, he was, I think we mentioned earlier, but he was a prem, so he was tiny, just with massive hands and feet, like a little
He had
hobbit.
huge hands.
Ridiculous. And then obviously the moment he realised what food was, he was just like
All over it.
watching him shovel food in. Like he
Yeah.
would try and use a fork, it wasn't getting him fast enough, so he was just grabbing his
Yeah.
and God, like every single mealtime, I got to a point where I started to
That
dread
anxiety,
it.
right?
Because I was like, I can't handle it. And
Don't
if he
wanna be
starts
around.
choking, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I think that actually puts the fear into the child at some point
Yeah.
because you're like sitting there panicking and they're going, well, why
Why
are
are
you
you
panicking?
worried? Yeah. Do I need to slow down on this or?
Yeah, that's so common with parents. And one thing that we do is like, yes, I bring some stats into it to really show parents, especially with choking, that if you know how to spot the signs and you know what to do, the chances that they have a choking event that you can't get the item out yourself is actually very, very low. I know people always say, choking is one of the most common reasons why children, have like major injuries or death. But when it comes to there's so many choking events that actually happen, and so the chances that your child is one of those that has a major injury or a death from choking is actually like kind of low. And there is a lot of children in the community who have like neuromuscular disorders, who
Right.
have lots of problem with swallowing, and those children are hugely overrepresented in choking
Yes.
statistics. Yeah. And we know that like 70% of choking is caused by food. This is in children. I think children under 5 is caused by food. So, but if you offer safe food and, you make sure your child's sitting and with supervision, the chance that they choke is low. And then when you bring into, if a child does choke, if you can do really effective choking first aid, the chance that you can't get it out is actually low.
Slim.
I've seen only a very small handful of cases in the ICU where children where like neurotypical and not neurotypical, what's the word? Muscularly normal children, I don't know what the phrasing is, like developmentally normal children have choked on food and the parent couldn't get it out. If I've been in the ICU 10 years, I can only think of a handful of children. But I hear every week stories of parents where their child is choked, but they were able to do really good back blows. But I think the stress comes with parents when it comes to choking is that they are unsure of what is gagging, and then when it comes and like when do they step in when their
What's the
child is choking?
difference?
So
At what point do you intervene and stop being,
Yes.
it's okay, you'll get it down or out.
Yeah, parents find that really confusing. So what we say is, okay, if you think your child is choking, there is only one question you need to ask, and that is, do they have a effective cough? So do they have this really, do they have a really nice, big, loud cough? And the reason we ask that is because, okay, if they've got a nice, big, loud cough, it tells us as the caregiver or the parent that they have the ability to get the item out at that point. If they have a non-effective cough, which is literally anything but a effective cough, it could be like no cough, it could be a quiet cough, it could be, a quiet cry, or, they're trying to talk, no noise comes out. Anything but a effective cough, then that's like a serious choking event and they need choking first aid.
Intervention, okay.
And then there is also this whole thing about gagging, which people get really confused with, and can be quite stressful because it's so traumatic.
Especially as a first parent. Like second parent, I was quite used to it. My daughter didn't have much of an issue, to be fair. She's just been a good eater. But when you first experience that, your heart stops. It's terrifying. And you're like, oh my God, what now?
Yeah.
Your heart stops. You're like,
what? Are you alright?
Yeah.
You're like,
do I whack your back? Do I rub it? Do I get you upside down? But they're just gagging. It's probably a good learning thing for them, right?
And by that time, they've already got it back up again and they're shoveling the next one.
Exactly. But it is with your first child, or even your second. I mean, it's no matter what stage you're at, it's stressful. Just the gag, right?
Yes, and so with our courses, both online and in person, we literally show like a 1-minute video of kids gagging, and we're like, this is why it's gagging, like, and we talk about the specific signs that mean a child is gagging versus choking. And my favorite one, and what I find so much like the easiest sign, is you can their tongue makes this little cup shape.
Yes.
Because you think gagging is it's the back of the tongue pushing the food forward, so they make this little cup in the front of their mouth because it's the tongue shape that that's the shape the tongue makes when it gags.
Okay.
And they often close their eyes. Yeah. So
yes.
if you ever learn with us, you'll find there's a lot of
good.
real life videos that we show of symptoms. So we have a video of a baby choking with an affective cough, and then the next thing is is gagging.
Yes.
And then we also show a video of choking with a non-effective cough, but then also go through to show the mother getting it out. So you can really, it's hard to know. I could tell you all these different things, but when you see it, it's often it's different. It makes it easy to understand. It kind of makes things click, and that's kind of what our education is all about. Is yes, I can give you the knowledge and I can tell you things, but if you can learn it in a way that feels really simple and really easy to understand, then it feels, when you're in that moment, you can recall it a lot more easily.
Okay.
The thing that you just said about the gagging and about the tongue, that just suddenly went, oh my God, my son has only ever gagged. I do. So I do wonder, because this is something that I do all the time and I've read not to do it. I can't.
You've read it, but you're like, I'm going to do it anyway.
I know, because what's worse, me not doing it and having 2 kids screaming in the back of the car, or
I'm intrigued now. I'm intrigued. What is it?
So I feed my kids while driving. I've heard
all the time
so many horror stories about parents having to pull over on the side of the road, pull their kids out of car seats.
But does it depend on what you're feeding them? Say foods?
Yes. So I would ask, what are your kids forward facing, red facing?
They're forward facing.
And what are you feeding them?
I don't. It sounds so awful. Whatever they find in their car seat, usually a biscuit. It's usually a biscuit.
So
seriously,
whatever they pull it from the bottom of the seat. Yeah.
My daughter has pulled something out from the bottom of the seat before, and it's like,
10-day-old cookie.
That'll eat anything.
Anything to keep them quiet.
Right? Oh gosh, yes. I know what it's like, especially when you've got more than one and you've got to cart the youngest to get to the oldest child's activities or whatever. Yeah. So technically, when they're in a car seat, that's not the optimal, it increases the risk of choking because it's not the optimal sitting position.
They're a little bit leaning
back. Because you want them to be able to utilise or be sitting up, well, so that they can coordinate the chewing and swallowing muscles, and then if they do choke, they can use their nice, strong abdominal muscles to cough it up. But, life happens. When we teach our courses, we understand life happens. You could do everything to a T, but then you'd be sitting at home on the couch doing nothing,
Yeah.
And so when it comes to sort of feeding your kids in the car, I'd say definitely don't offer them those high-risk foods, nuts, popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Chips, grapes, apples, carrot. But, something like a yogurt in a subo or a yogurt in a pouch.
Yeah.
If you take away the cap, though.
Always a hazard.
Puree texture is like very low risk of choking if you needed to. Like, I think everyone's guilty of feeding their kids in the car. And then for me, like, my go-to is the subo, yogurt subo.
Yeah.
The risk of choking is pretty low.
Okay.
The risk of mess is a bit lower.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Not if you're my daughter.
Oh yeah, they shake it.
Oh my god!
Everything.
The other thing with eating in the car is that if they get food on the straps and the straps get mouldy, then that's your car seat done, and you got to get a new one because once you've got mold on your straps, you can't. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm not a car seat tech, but I know you could. I think maybe you can replace the straps. Don't quote me on that, but
Mold go.
yeah, pretty much. Like, it's like if you get your car seat out
neither.
of storage and it's got mold on the straps, then you kind of it's done. So having sugars and food on the straps, and then like it sits in a hot, warm car, the risk of mold increases. So that's kind of another reason maybe not to eat in the car. Oh, do they?
No, I'm just trying to think back. We've had bananas and yogurt. And
I know. We do take ours out every now and again to hose it
do
down.
a bit of a wash.
Yeah, but
we've
that's
got the
like the
easy
other
clean.
reason. Yeah, but I mean, you don't want to be on the... And I asked if they are forward or rear-facing, because you could think, oh my gosh, if you're a rear-facing child...
And you can't see
You can't see them, you can't hear them.
Oh, it's
Yes.
all about that's why I always had the mirror.
Yeah.
But still, like, you can't really do anything, right?
No.
Like,
Well, you just pull over, or like if you're like, my toddler just kicks that mirror, and so it's sometimes
mine
just
too.
like pointing to the ceiling.
Yeah,
I have no
that's
idea
true.
what's going on.
It's useless.
About, I don't know, my son must have been about 6 months old, and I was in the back, I was driving them to kindy, and my daughter, you know how you always question your parenting after the fact, right?
Every single time.
So my daughter had one of those ribbons, you know, the ribbons and sticks, and she was doing this and this and this. Anyway, she managed to get it around my son's neck.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And she's pulling it because it won't. She's trying to get
wants
it
to get
back,
it loose,
and I was
yeah.
like, "No, it's his neck, And in the end, I had to pull over and
pull over.
put it off. And I was so angry with her. And actually, I was like, "No, it's not her
angry with
fault. It's
yourself.
actually angry with myself." But but it's like those sort of situations, like everything is a freaking hazard with these kids.
Right.
So you do get to a point where it's like you always do need to be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Her like dancing around in the kitchen with the ribbon to next thing, taking it in the car with her. I hadn't clocked.
You hadn't clicked that she had
Yeah.
taken it into the car,
It
or
went
what
in the
would
bin after
happen,
that.
right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And just the sort of spinning it, how that would just happen to go round his neck.
It's those split seconds.
Yeah.
And you hear about them, you read about them, people tell you about, you got to constantly watch your kids and be aware and, make sure the house is safe and,
Yeah.
etc. And you're always like, oh, well, yeah, it never happened to me. Kids are fine.
You would think it'll never
Nothing's
happen to me.
unsafe. I feed them, food safe, or, soft foods, and it'll be fine. And then, split second,
Well, that's it, because, you think about all the things that you're told. Choking's a huge one, and, and even now we've just been talking about choking for a big chunk of time. But these
go
kids,
back,
everything, like, any time they disappear for, like, a few minutes and there's silence, you're like, okay, let's start
aside from
checking
the
them
fact
out.
that you're worried about your
Well, yeah, the house is either in ruins somewhere.
Yes.
I mean,
pen all over the couch.
well, I'm just
this
thinking about
weekend.
your microwave fire. that you
Yes, my
have.
microwave fire.
Oh,
I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that back.
Yeah.
They do all sorts of things.
They
Oh, the
do.
other day, my boy. So we've just moved house.
Yes.
And he went to our bedroom and came out, and he was covered in like what smelled like dirt. And I was like,
Oh no.
you've been outside. What the hell? And what he had done is, and I didn't even realize this was in the fireplace. There was like old bits of coal. Like I don't even know how. And he'd gone and
no.
grabbed them, and I was like, gross. So no, now we've removed
Good thing they
those
were
and put
old
a-
and not.
Well, it's like a
hot.
decommissioned
Oh,
fireplace.
right,
Yeah.
right, right.
So it was like
Okay.
some weird decorative coal that we hadn't even thought about.
Yes.
And I was like, oh God, I hope you didn't eat any of that.
Yeah, because they put everything in their mouths.
Yeah.
You just don't know what they get
You just
into.
don't.
Like,
Exactly.
It's literally a split second. Like I remember, I can think of so many different things. Like seeing finding my daughter at like outside of my parents, like what do you call it? Like the walkway up to their
Yes.
steps, and then literally as I got there, the neighbours reversing down the driveway.
Oh,
and I was
my
like,
God.
because she'd opened the door up, and I was like,
Oh my god.
like I never have any judgment towards parents who end up in the ICU.
No,
or like
no.
injuries or actually really
Because
anything.
you know
'cause
it can happen.
it just happens so
Yeah.
quickly, and
Yeah.
if you don't know the risk, you don't know to look out for it.
Right.
And then when it happens, I can't be like, well, how did you you let
did
this
you end it?
happen? It's like,
Yeah.
well, I didn't even know it was a risk.
Yeah,
and I think it's like with driver runners. So many people are surprised to hear
Yes.
that it's actually usually a parent in the child's own home runs over their child.
Well, I read something
and
on
any
Instagram
ICU
the other
nurse
day.
in the peds ICU would be like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, of course.
This
Like,
hap- yeah.
that's the most
It's super common.
situation
Yeah.
we see. But parents aren't even aware of the risk at all.
Totally.
And it's the same with like, although maybe this is more known, like, but drownings.
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
The most common place is actually
That petrifies me.
it's at home. So if you have like a pool at home, it's more likely to happen in your own pool when
Right.
you don't think your child's in the water.
Right, right.
And I think there's this really controversial thing. Every time I post it, I get, not gonna lie, a little bit abused when I say this about.
Please no abuse.
Yeah, don't people saying this, but like puddle jumpers or water wings or like swim vests,
Right.
they actually increase the risk of drowning.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it's quite
yeah.
hard for people to get their head around
I've
because they're
heard
like,
of
well, in the
that.
water, they're floating, they're okay, they're in the water.
Yeah.
Like, and they're being kept above the water, so that reduces the risk of drowning. But then when you think about, okay, well, the vast majority of drownings actually happen when you don't expect
when
the
you're
child
not
to be in
expecting
the
it.
water.
Yeah, so they don't have their water wings.
They
in
have a
their
false
vests.
sense of confidence they can swim.
Yeah.
And then they've learnt that when they're in the water, they're in this sort of drowning position. Where their body is upright. Whereas children who have never used, flotation devices that they wear,
Will
they
go on their-
automatically go like
yeah,
their legs
backs
go
or their-
up.
yeah.
So parents are like, no, you're wrong. But it's that whole explanation of,
No,
well,
I've
actually,
heard
most
that before.
drownings happen
Yeah.
when you don't expect your child to be in the water.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then, so
Yeah.
I think it's not just about knowing what, I could teach someone, oh, if your child drowns, this is what you do, or this is the signs of drowning to look out for.
Right. But
And
what
this
if
is
you're
what
not
you do
looking
next.
for it, right? What if you're not around? Like,
Or it's more like, but like
it
not
sounds terrible.
knowing.
It's that 1 minute where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's quiet. Where are they?
Yeah.
It takes that long
Yeah. That,
for
I'd say
something to happen or for an accident to happen,
Yeah,
right?
drowning's 20 seconds.
That's insane.
It's like, and that's
honestly,
yeah,
like,
20 seconds is insane. And the reason why is that so when like the head is submerged, or the nose and mouth is
Yes.
submerged, there's like an automatic breath hold
yes.
that everybody has. It's like an
Yes.
automatic response. And then after 20 seconds, then you've got this involuntary gasp. And then when you
Yes.
gasp underwater,
yeah.
then that starts
when
the
it-
drowning. And
right. Fills your lungs full
yeah,
of
so it
water,
starts the drowning process, and it depends on what kind of water you're in. If you're in
Right.
salt water, it's like 1 mil per kilo that
Yeah.
can start drowning.
Right.
Like someone can start drowning or cause those, they call it secondary drowning, but delayed pneumonia
Delayed, yeah.
from
yeah.
drowning. And then I think bath water or clean water is about 3 mils per kilo. So if you've got a 10-kilo child, it's like what 30 mils.
It's really
30
nothing.
mils. You think of
yeah.
like a little. Well, I don't even know how much that is in cups, but
Not a lot.
No.
it's at the 10th of a cup.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, yeah, it's like a few
That blows
mil.
my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have heard that about flotation devices. Like they're
Yes.
super handy, but if you haven't trained your child or if you haven't taken them to lessons or like done any safety courses and taught them,
Yeah.
how to be safe in the water and that they can't actually float or swim yet. Yeah, I've heard that. That before, and it makes so much sense, like
Yeah.
logically in my mind. So
The
no
first-
abuse here.
No, that's good.
The first time my daughter wore floaties was actually only about a year or so ago.
Yes.
So she's always had swimming lessons up to that point. And she was like, Mum, I'm swimming. Mum. She
Yeah.
was absolutely just like, hold
I can
on.
do this.
And so when you say that, I completely, 100%, because that shock on her face, I suddenly thought,
Oh no. No, how are we going to unravel this?
yeah, and she's going to be so disappointed when I take those off.
When she realizes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I always say the best like flotation devices when a child is swimming is ones that they can let go of. So
Oh,
like
right.
what's
It's
called
like a
The
pet
pool
float.
noodles.
pedal boards. My
Yeah.
toddler does, not toddler, she's like a preschooler now, but she
Yes.
does use a ring, which I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I feel that's in between, but she knows she doesn't have, like, if she lets go of that ring,
She's done.
she's
Yeah.
going to drown. We have a pool at our batch, so that's probably like quite
Oh,
the
wow.
highest risk thing for us is that we've got this, like, there's a pool right there,
Yes.
but
And then when they fall, they know how to open the gates and all of that.
Yeah,
right?
although this gate's very high.
Good.
But yeah, no, most of the drownings that we see in the ICU are kids that have got into a pool of like their own family pool or a pool that they have been around when a parent or caregiver is nearby, when they weren't expected to be in the water, and often it's when a parent thinks that somebody else is watching the child.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
So it's just all of those things. And I think we, the crux of what we do is teach parents, first aid, how to save their child's life.
Right.
But we also teach so much about prevention and risk. And, saving your child's life doesn't have to be, I did CPR or I did choking first aid. It's actually, I took all these steps to keep them safe. And that is you saving your child's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have, not to use the word anxious mother, but do you feel as a mum now, are you more anxious with your children, as in because you know all the things? So like you walk into a room and like you compute all the
risks.
Hazards.
That is kind of a good question. I would say because I know the risks, I can just like calculate, okay, well, this is yes or no a risk, remove it, or
if this happens.
Yeah, and then if something happens, I'm like, okay, I know what to do. So my baby, I always call him a baby, he's 15 months. He choked a few months ago. Was it last year or started this year? So he choked. He started off having this lovely, a good, nice, effective cough, and I just let him cough it out, and then all of a sudden the cough got quiet, and he was like, look of panic on his face, and I was like, all right. Got you, 2 smacks on the back, done.
Yeah.
But I'm also someone who has managed hundreds of emergencies. Managing an emergency, whether it's my own child or a child in the ICU, it literally, I'm just going through the motions. So for me, I wasn't panicked then. The only time I felt really stressed and really anxious was when my daughter had croup.
Yeah.
She woke up in the middle of the night and had a little bit of like what we call a tracheal tug, so sucking in at the top of the ribs. A little bit of a stridor. Woke my husband up. I said, hey, look, she's got croup. I'm going to take her into hospital. He was like, oh, okay. Getting the bag ready to go in, because I was like, I don't know how long the wait will be. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning. And then this is probably 4 minutes later, he brings her out to the corridor. She's completely blue. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, we need an ambulance. He's like, oh, do we? I was like, are you joking? I was like, yes. And then he said at that point, I just went into straight nurse mode.
Yes.
And I called for an ambulance, and then I got her on the bed, tried to calm her down. And then it was probably 5 minutes later, the ambulance came. But those 5 minutes felt like an eternity. Because she was starting to lose consciousness at that point. Because obviously her airway was so restricted. And anyway, they came through and they started nebulizers and stuff like that. And they're like, we just got to go to the hospital.
Yep.
But once they got there, I felt a little bit better because I was like, well, no matter what happens. It was really scary. But for me, as soon as the ambulance got there, I was like, okay, well, no matter what happens, the ambulance is here now. We could do most of the stuff. And then, so we went to the hospital, like full lights and sirens. And then we rock up to like resus, and it's been a full code. And the full code team had been called and everyone was there waiting. Yes. And then I sort of walked in and the registrar's talking to me. So it's like not junior doctor, but sort of the in-between. And she's like explaining what's going on. And I was like, yeah. And then she paused and goes, oh, you're medical. And then the resource team came in and they're like, oh my gosh, Charlotte. Because the research team comes from the PICU. And the registrar was like, oh, this is making a whole lot of sense now why you've come in with this blue child, but you're completely relaxed.
You're so calm. Yeah.
But that was probably the scariest. That sort of 5 minutes being home alone with my child. Yeah. That was really terrifying. And I think one of the most common sort of terrifying moments for parents that when they think, oh my gosh, my child's going to die, is a febrile seizure. Have you heard of a febrile seizure?
No.
Oh, so it actually happens to 1 in 20 children.
Stop it.
Yeah, 1 in 20 children have a febrile seizure. And how old are your youngest?
2. 3.
Okay, so they're just out between 12 and 18 months is the peak time when it happens. And it's a seizure that is triggered by a fast rising temperature.
Oh, and I have heard of them, but didn't realise that.
Yeah. And, every parent I've talked to, when their child had one and they had no idea what it was, they were just like, I thought my child was going to die.
Wow.
But it's like 1 in 20 children. So it happens, it's a very common reason that an ambulance is called, which is obviously fair enough. Yeah. But imagine having that, you don't know what it is, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to keep your child safe.
Yes.
And then you know, it's just, you don't know what's caused it. Whereas, you know, in our courses, so this is in our public course, like in-person courses, online courses, we go very thoroughly through a febrile seizure. We actually show a video of a febrile seizure and what it actually looks like.
Right.
And then we, you know, explain what do you do. We have this like triple S framework, like making it really easy. So we say like side position, keep them, side position, space, and then keep them safe. While you wait for an ambulance.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. We had emergency services when we took Ophelia in for the after hours. They said to us, "Oh, you totally should have brought her in. She can have a seizure." And I didn't realise like that was a thing. And they say there's a certain number of days that a child should be, you know, going through a fever without medication and like without.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So that's what she said to me, and I felt like a really bad mother at the time. I was like, should I have brought my daughter in sooner?
How old was she?
Oh, she wasn't even 1. She was quite young.
But over 3 months?
Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Hey, woman, for stressing me out.
So when it comes to fevers, what we say is don't worry about the number on the thermometer.
Yeah.
Like, don't even,
Yeah,
I mean, you could take
okay.
the temperature and it'd be like, you could say, oh yeah, my child has a fever. I'm not going
hot
crazy
is hot.
that they're grumpy or whatever. But that number pretty much means like once it's over 38 degrees, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It literally just says, oh, your child has a temperature.
A fever. Yeah.
We say, worry about the and. So do they have a fever and a fever and changes to alertness? I said, don't even worry about the number. I was like, throw the thermometer out.
Yeah.
Like I never use a thermometer. I'm just like, are you hot?
Just
Okay.
feel, right?
That's literally me. Like the only exception is if you have a child under 3 months, any sort of temperature over 38 degrees, they need to be seen by a doctor urgently, just in case it could be sepsis, because we know that those little ones are very high risk of sepsis, and a fever might be the only thing you see. Probably isn't sepsis,
And you don't
but
know.
it could be. Yeah. So you were probably completely right. Like I could have a child at home 41 degrees.
Screw you, woman.
Yeah. But a lot of health professionals themselves, they don't really know
know.
this, especially with peds. Like most health professionals aren't
It
that
might have been
confident
that, yeah.
with peds. So, you know, they just say what they might have been taught 10 years ago at university, and it's like 10 years later and things have changed.
Yes, exactly. We were talking about that in the car, about how, you know, there's new research and new methods these days, and we all need to sort of keep on top of it, even though you've done a first aid course or you've been in that situation before. It's always good to keep up to date and keep up with the times. And
I think that's one of the things I found with parents when it came to talking about having a sitter in their home. They all wanted a sitter that had first aid.
Absolutely.
And I know that's the thing, because you want someone, if something happens, you just want them to be able to give first aid if they need to, and to your child, and
or
you
just know what to do, what steps to take to prevent anything bad or worse happening.
The other part of that is there are so many parents that haven't done first aid.
Yeah.
Right?
But you don't know what to do in that situation.
So it's almost in this funny way of, well, at least your babysitter will know what to do. Like,
Do you want her around all the time?
Yeah,
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
I'm surprised at how many people haven't done it at all.
Yeah.
Because I always assume, most people, maybe people do it at the workplaces, but then my own husband hasn't done first aid.
Yeah.
Like
he's got you. He's fine.
Yeah, well, you think that, but when my daughter had that group event,
Right.
I had been, I do night shifts. I could have easily not been there.
Yeah.
And he would have clearly not known
How
what
lucky
to
you
do.
were there. Yeah.
well, this is it. Like I think about, I did first aid at work, and then I was always the person that would do the refresher course, because I put my hand up at the very beginning and was like, sure, I'll be the first aid
Yeah.
person.
I'll do it.
Because
Yeah.
you needed to have one person on each floor. But only because I was sort of, no one else put their hand up, so I was like, fine, I'll take it.
I'll be the guy.
And actually, it's good that I did it. But when it comes to your baby,
It's so different.
exactly,
different.
like
Yeah,
you don't
so
do
different.
CPR in the same way that you do on an adult
No.
as you do on a baby. Like
No, so
so
different.
and that's the thing. It's like, and also I think your emotion goes into it, because
Yeah.
it's this tiny
It's
little thing.
your baby.
And I mean, I did first aid in the UK, so slightly different from here. But I always remember St John's Ambulance saying, just know that if you do not feel comfortable to do something, just say no.
Yeah.
And I was like, Oh, well,
No.
that'll get me out of any really scary situation.
I'll just say, no, I don't want to do this, and just walk out the door.
I'm good, eh?
Yeah.
The person may be dying in front of me, but hey, you know, no.
Totally.
But it's so different when it's workplace. And like I said before, like when you do those workplace ones, they're like, send for help.
Yeah.
Hey, you're in the black top.
Exactly.
But in reality, like with kids, you're so likely to be home alone.
Yeah.
We actually had a couple that came and did our in-person class.
Yes.
I think that one of them was like a cardiothoracic nurse.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, surely
You know what you're doing. Come
But they
on.
were like, no, but I only know adults and I feel really
yes.
anxious about kids and I just want a refresher on kids. They would do all of this, like probably adult resus simulation.
Yeah.
But probably only get a very small amount on kids. Because like, we all have to do basic life support, but
Yeah,
you
I
mostly,
mean-
when we do these like long, I think I did like an 8-hour day last week. Like ours is all child based and it's
Yes.
much more extreme than just doing, emergencies at home. And they were like, no, it was really nice to be explained things simply, to think about being in the home environment. It's completely different than
So different.
being in the hospital because you don't have anything. Like you could know
Yeah.
exactly what to do, but you don't have the stuff,
You
oxygen
don't have
in
the
the walls.
equipment, you don't have
so
the extra
true.
stuff on.
Yeah.
You don't have the space. Yeah.
I do feel like
yeah.
I would be exactly the same though. Like I could go to a course and then walk out the door and then be like, okay,
Now what?
now what? Yeah.
Yeah.
In saying that, and I'm just conscious of time, and thank you so much for being on our episode today, Charlotte.
No
Really
worries.
appreciate it. But do you have any tips to give our listeners and our parents today? Any vital information?
feel like
I was like,
have
one
loads
tip.
of
I was
tips.
like,
More
oh
tips.
my
Yeah.
god. I
More
kind of think
tips.
of like the key tip. I mean, I think it would be if you only have time to learn one thing that is like first aid related is CPR. Because if your child collapses and needs CPR and you don't do anything, then you will have missed the opportunity to save your child.
Right.
We don't, we know that, okay, some children who needed CPR, who need CPR and get CPR, they don't survive. But if you don't get the chance, if you don't, start CPR, you won't know.
You don't know.
And do you guys want to, how many children do you, sorry, actually, I word this differently. How many percentage of children do you think don't get CPR that need it in the community?
Oh my
I don't even want to know the answer to this one.
It's 1 in 3.
What?
No, stop it.
Yeah, and so in the community, 1 in 3 children who need CPR don't get anything.
And that means that they.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't
I
know the
mean-
data on who
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
survives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But,
if
you know,
they
and
need-
if a child
wow.
collapses, you've
Is
kind
that
of got
because
2
of the
minutes.
situation around them? No one knows what they're doing.
Yeah, so data show, this is not from that same data, but we know from like research
Yes.
that when family members haven't done CPR, on another member of their family, that the number one reason is they didn't even know that the
Wow.
person needed CPR. They didn't even know the
wow.
signs. And the number 2 is they didn't feel confident to do it. So
Crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! I know. I hate to say this out loud, but I know that it would eat me up. How do you get through each day after that? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, it would be. I mean, we see the families in the ICU. I mean, I don't know. Like, we would
Yeah.
be told, I wouldn't be like, no. I mean, maybe I would if I read through the notes that, your child collapsed at home. CPR wasn't started till St. John's got
Right.
there, or, till the ambulance got
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But
I suppose you don't know all the cases for all the children that you've treated, I suppose.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's data that you've.
But CPR can be amazing. I remember we
Yeah.
had this case of a boy who had drowned, and there just happened to be, like, what do you call it, like senior paramedics?
Okay.
Right, literally
Lucky.
right there.
Yeah.
And he had this really long downtime. So that's the time, like, where they're, they're not
Yeah.
breathing and not alert. It was like, I can't remember how long it was. Incredibly long. Like an hour? That doesn't seem right. That seems too long. But I
Yeah.
remember being shocked by how long it was. And then I had looked after him maybe 3 weeks later, because we had to like do all the post CPR care and
Yes.
and he was like nearly normal, and I was like, I can't believe that you had this downtime that was so long, and your brain is nearly
Functioning.
like is pretty much
Okay.
intact. I was like,
Wow.
it just showed this power
That's amazing.
of good CPR.
Yeah.
Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And children, good CPR, so good compressions
Yes.
and good breaths is just so vital in children. In adults, you can get away with just compressions.
Yes.
So research shows
Yeah,
compression only
I've
CPR in
heard
adults
that, yeah.
is fine.
okay.
Not the case in kids. Because the reason that kids need CPR is that their heart muscle didn't get enough oxygen,
Okay.
and then that stopped the heart from working normally. And
Okay.
so when you do your compressions, when you're doing your CPR, like you're
Yes.
just pushing around what we call deoxygenated blood. And so giving those breaths, so
Yes.
taking the oxygen from your own lungs and putting it into their lungs and then pushing it around
Yeah.
is so important.
Okay.
Like so important. And when we teach, we actually use like what's called real-time feedback. So parents can see, oh, are my compressions actually
Oh,
deep
that
enough?
is so
Am I fully
cool.
releasing?
Yeah.
And is
Wow.
my breath going in? And
Amazing.
again, so many parents have this aha sort of eureka moment of
know what I'm
how
doing.
how to position the airway. How do
Yes.
things like how do you adjust how you give breaths as your baby grows gradually? Because first aid
Yes.
courses,
Yes.
it's like, here's the baby mannequin, here's the
Yeah.
child mannequin, and you're like,
Yes.
this
The
is not
adult
how
mannequin,
it works in real life. So we talk through like, how do you adjust how you do CPR
That's cool.
as your child gradually grows?
Amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, if that
We're
was
gonna
one thing
have
you
to
need to know
come to your
is
course.
definitely
Yeah.
do.
I'm
But
definitely booking on a course.
We're
How
coming.
can you
We'll-
listen
we'll
to
see.
that?
And
Right?
not book a course. Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
yeah, that's the one thing. If every parent could learn CPR, we actually do have a free CPR course on our website, like a digital one.
Yes.
So even if you just learn how to recognise when a child needs CPR
Yes.
and the steps,
Yes.
that's a start.
It's a
Yeah.
start.
That'll be going in the show
Absolutely.
notes.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Take a look at the show notes for the
Exactly.
website.
Oh, Charlotte, it's been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. You're a
inviting
wealth
me.
of knowledge.
Yeah.
Appreciate you so much for joining us.
Oh my god, that's all.
I know. So intense.
Thank you. And yeah,
See you on the next
see you on
one.
the next one.
Okay, so that's it for this week. Hot Messes, Big Visions. If you love this episode, share it with your village.
Want to book a sitter? Head to thevillageco.nz and let us hook you up.